joining me. I'm Wendy Alana of The Truth Lens, and I have my guest here, Lori Dian, otherwise known as Tarot Lori. You have been reading cards for 30 plus years. Mm-hmm. You have 2 best-selling books, Burn Your Shit, The Life-Changing Magic of Rituals, and Big Deck Energy. You've been on podcast shows. You have a following of celebrities, CEOs. You run life-changing retreats. And honestly, I think I can say you've become one of my friends.
Absolutely.
So
and you've seen me naked.
And I've seen you naked. Yeah, that's a good way to start this off. What?
How's that for a podcast intro?
Yes, I did your boudoir shoot when you were turning 50, but I think it was pandemic, so we had to do it a little later.
Yep.
So yes.
That was a game changer.
Yes, for sure. And I definitely got to know each other on a personal level. So thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. And maybe just give a little backstory as to how you got started, how you got started in the world of tarot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so I'm from Calgary, Alberta. Mm-hmm. I'm 55 years old. Mm. So in the late 80s in Calgary, Alberta, there was no Google. There was no any way to find like psychics and things like that if you're into them unless you knew someone. And everybody knew Erica, who was the witch of Calgary. And she looked kind of like Elvira, but instead of black hair, her hair was like platinum blonde. And she was like this tall and she goth, the rings all black.
She played the part.
I mean, she did, but she was also hilarious. And she took what she did seriously, but she didn't take herself seriously, which is something I've tried to embody myself. Yes. And so Erica, I heard about her. I went to see her. She had, the crystals and the crystal balls and the tea leaves and read your palm and astrology and all the things. But when she took out those tarot cards, I was like, tell me everything. Like, what is that all about? So I just really was drawn to the cards. And then in university, I did this paper for this women's studies course about like witchcraft and society and women and stuff. And I interviewed her as part of this paper. And that's where we got to know each other kind of on a friendly plane. And then from that point, she became my mentor.
Oh my gosh.
And it was really old school. I mean, it's old school because it was a long time ago, but it was old school in the sense that it was like an orally passed on tradition.
Yeah.
I would just sort of sit there and take notes about, as she just talked about the cards. So it was really like passed down to me in a very kind of witchy
organic
way and kind of old fashioned way, which was the best way to learn for me.
I feel like back in the day, there was no internet. So it was like you knew someone and it's like, because they always existed for years and years, right? Yeah. Witches and psychics and mediums and tarot readers, but you had to kind of know someone.
That's right. You had to hear about these people, right? And so, I haven't been in touch with her for a while, but she's still out there doing her thing and she's in the acknowledgements of both of my books because I wouldn't know tarot the way I do, and I wouldn't do it the way that I do without her because she was really formative. She really was a true mentor for me.
I love that. Yeah. So, and then fast forward. So now here you are. I mean, I wouldn't say overnight sensation, but there's so much happening. And I'm just wondering how you got 30 years of doing this, and all of a sudden just now you're on, like, I see you on the Global News and on the City TV and Jan Arden's podcast. And was it Jennifer Aniston? Does she follow you?
She does.
Yeah.
We got a few interesting followers.
Just some kind of, not to name drop or anything, but hello, Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing.
So how did that somehow just become out there? Because you've done this obviously for so long.
Yes. I always say I am an overnight sensation that's like 30 years in the making, as many are. And I definitely have put in the 10,000 hours,
right.
We talk about.
Expert,
Yeah. So it's tarot. I am so confident in the way I do tarot and my tarot. And it really did feel like I was waiting for an opportunity to level up. During and leading up to the pandemic, I quit all my little part-time jobs and I was doing freelance writing and I told my clients, no, I'm going all in on tarot. And
I love that. Because you can't
scary.
sometimes to master something, you can't do something part-time. You can't dabble.
Correct.
If you really want to go for it, you have to kind of give up your your side
easy
hustle
thing.
or the easy
Yeah.
thing or the
the
steady
safe
thing.
Yeah, safe and
which is
steady.
a risk in itself, but good for you.
Yeah, so I had gone all in before the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and that vacuum that had been created by removing all of the other jobs was filled with tarot pretty quickly. So that was great. And then during the pandemic, because everything went online, we were so locked up raw here in Canada that instead of like maybe 10 to 20% of my readings being remote, it was all of them.
Right.
And so I had to really double down, and it started to build and build and build. And because people got more used to doing things via Zoom, you know, they got more comfortable with that. And I had to sort of be convinced too, because I was thinking like, really? I don't know. I mean, my tagline is woo woo without the cuckoo.
Yes. Love that.
So,
yeah.
you know, it gives you a sense of my approach. I believe in it and I do it for a living, take it seriously. But like Eric, I don't take, you know, I'm not precious about it. And I can be skeptical. There are a lot of scammers out there.
Yes.
And so as I started doing it more and more on Zoom, I was like, oh my God, this is just as good. I'm still covered in goosies. I still am
so
getting
you still feel the
tarot
energy, even if it was
100%.
okay. Interesting.
Yes.
I always thought it would have, because I had a reading with you,
Yes.
as did Dave,
Right.
years ago.
Yes, in the dining room.
In your dining room, you had dark hair. I think you were still like
That's
a dark
right.
brunette.
Yeah.
And I remember Dave, speaking of skeptics, going like, okay. And I think his reading was first. We still have the notes. We still listen to it.
I remember. I don't remember the reading, but I remember you
Yes.
both coming.
And
yeah.
we still refer back to it. He actually,
Wow.
because I think you had pulled a card that said he needed to drive the bus. So he's like, Tarot Lori says I have to drive the bus. So this is me driving the bus. And he still remembers
So
those
good.
messages and reframes. But we'll get into that a little bit more.
Yeah, so that was it. And I think people get more comfortable in their, speaking of getting
Yes,
comfortable.
let's get comfy. Let's get cozy.
People get more comfortable or can be more open energetically when they're in the comfort of their own home. You know, so their
guard is not up.
yeah,
as
their guard
much.
isn't up. They're not like looking around. They're not trying to figure out like what's going on.
Where's the cat hiding?
Yeah,
Where's
and
the
it-
cauldron?
Correct. Because they're, well, I might have a cauldron
Yeah,
hidden
maybe,
away,
but yeah.
there's, you know, and it allows me to be more efficient as well because it's not like the hello,
You have to
and
drive it,
goodbye,
yes,
and da,
yeah,
da, da, da.
yeah.
So I can be more efficient so people don't have to wait as long for readings. So it also introduced me to a global audience.
True.
And then a real game changer as well was that during the pandemic, I was Googling spiritual women's mastermind because I needed some sort of community. I wanted a mastermind group, but I'm not going to hang out with a bunch of lawyers and accountants talking about business. Like it just, that wasn't what I was
Doesn't
looking
vibe in
for.
with your-
Need to be a little woo-woo.
Yeah.
And I found this woman who leads women's circles and had moved her business online. And so I started circling with her and this group of babes from all over the world. And we would do these like 4-week sessions. And I did them for pretty much 2 years.
Wow.
And
All
then-
virtual?
All virtual.
Okay.
And then she had an in-person retreat in Malibu
Wow.
at like 2023, 2022. And I was, you know, as soon as she floated the idea, I said, how
do I get in on
how
this?
locked in
Yeah.
are you on this retreat? And she said, well, the dates for sure. We're still not 100% sure exactly where or what will be, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, good, because I booked my plane ticket.
Yeah.
And
California
I'm
just
coming
calling
to
you.
California.
Yeah.
And then since then, I've been back like, oh gosh, probably 20 times now. Like I go a few times a year and I'm getting hired for events down there. And
I know, that's
I've made
amazing.
friends down there. And it's been this beautiful, created this whole community. Most of the people who book me for stuff in LA think I live there.
Oh yeah, I feel like it just calls you. Like I feel like what the heck are we doing here in Ontario?
Well,
Sometimes.
it's very aligned with me.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I did this thing called astrocartography. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's astrology where you take a map of the world and then you put an overlay of your astrological chart on top. So there's Venus and there's the third house and there's your rising sign and whatever. And where you see lines, it can tell you which areas of the world are sort of good for you energetically
Yeah.
and not great. And number one is LA for me, which I just found out.
How do you get that done? Is that like someone just does that or?
Well,
or-
if you find astrologers who
Yes.
do it, but I mean, I also went on ChatGPT and
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, hey, be my
Okay, amazing.
astrocartographer.
Okay.
I'd already had someone who's an astrologer give me an overview.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, let's see what ChatGPT has to say. And that confirmed the day. And then one of the worst cities for me is Toronto, Canada.
Well, obviously. I mean,
so
if I did that and it said Hamilton is your place, I'd be like, I'm shocked.
You're broken.
Yeah. Try again, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But that's amazing.
Anyway,
Yeah,
so I've just sort of go where the heat
Yeah.
is. You know,
Yes.
not literal like sunshine,
Yes.
although that is
Yeah, yeah.
LA too, but
Yeah.
just where opportunities are and where the people are who are my people,
Yes.
you know, who I feel.
I've never been to
connected to.
California.
Oh,
So
my gosh.
is it, I guess I've just always pictured it as like Hollywood. But then
Mm-hmm.
when I went to Bali, and we'll talk about your Bali trip, a lot of the yogis were from LA, and they were just like, no, it's a chilled out
Yeah.
vibe. So I didn't picture it that way.
It's very like Vancouver. You
Yeah,
been to Vancouver?
never. No, and
Oh,
that's the other
God,
thing.
you'd love
It's
Vancouver
it's
too.
calling to me as well. We were supposed to go, and my dad had passed away, so it was that week.
Mm.
But for some reason, BC is calling to me as well.
Go.
Yeah, it feels like
Go.
the West Coast is.
Yeah,
where I'm
because even
supposed
if you
to
don't
be.
live there, I'm not moving to LA
No,
anytime soon.
yeah.
However, to go a few times a year, it fuels me right
Yes.
up. And it's weird too, because you do hear about or you know, you hear about people being plastic or superficial
Yes,
and
I guess you just
the
picture
plastic
that.
surgery, and there are all these misconceptions. I mean, stereotypes, let's say, because there are people like that. I just don't meet them.
in Oakville as well.
Exactly, everywhere. And I think it's just sort of what I put out, the vibe
Yes.
I put out. I'm not bringing that kind of
Exactly. Yeah.
superficiality
Yeah.
into my orbit.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
So yes, I was going to say that I had first heard of you through Brittany Ostafe, so Bostafe. So she's my next guest coming
Amazing.
on.
Love.
So she's hilarious as well, and I think you're hilarious. And you add some like levity to, you know, something people. I think there's misconceptions about tarot cards and tarot card readers, and that it's occultish or it's very dark, and
devilly,
devilly. And can you kind of speak to like any misconceptions or what people think about tarot versus kind of what your truth is about that?
I mean, the cards here. Let's
Yes.
just show you the cards.
Okay, yeah.
This is my deck, and these cards. There's 78 of them, and each of these cards has a different story to tell. And then you put them together; they tell the story of you. And people, they're not fortune tellers. These aren't predictions that are offered. Anyone who says, you know, you're going to meet Bob at the Starbucks on Tuesday or say goodbye to the dog, like that's BS. I always say, take your money and run. These cards can be like prompts, you know, for you to maybe look at something through a different lens or get curious about something you maybe had been missing or validating a move you want to make or an action you want to take that you're just a bit like, ugh. I always say the cards, it's kind of like when a kid comes home from school and says, Mom, you'll never guess what my teacher told me, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, yeah, I've been telling you that for like 6
yes.
months. But
So it's
because the
like-
teacher said it, oh, I guess it's true. And the cards are kind of like the teacher. Yeah.
So is it like you that's reading the cards, or is it their energy, or what? Like, is the cards an actual future, or is it like, is the cards a prop? Like, could you use something else, or
Well, some people use just a regular deck of cards, and
Okay.
it's like, oh, 9 of hearts is the 9 of cups.
okay?
You know, and
so they
they'll-
can use that in a
Yeah.
associate meeting.
I think these cards are great because they have pictures on them
Yes.
that depict the message, so it's an immediate like, oh, a cue.
Yeah.
Because if you ask me what's the 6 of Wands, I have,
You
no,
have no
clue.
clue.
I
Yeah.
don't know what that
Yeah.
looks like. But if you show me 6 of Wands, oh, okay, now I know what we're
Yeah.
talking about. So it's not about memorizing. But these cards, you know, they're certainly nothing evil. They're no tapping into the dark side or anything. But if someone has bad intentions, they can do bad stuff with these cards.
Interesting.
In terms of just, you know, if the death card comes up saying like, oh, someone close to you, oh,
Yes.
is anyone sick? Oh,
When in fact, that's
scare
not
the
even
crap
what it
out-
means,
no,
right?
it's
Yeah.
one of my favorite cards. It means transformational change. It's an amazing card. Like Google it. It's
Yeah.
that's the verified like long-term interpretation.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to use it as a prop and be all like, ooh,
Yes,
fortune teller,
right.
you know, scary, scary, they can do that. But these cards are just meant to offer you, like I always say, a little peek behind the curtain to see what's going on energetically, you know? And then what you choose to do with it is up to you because you have free will. So it could talk about challenges ahead, or it could be hinting at like opportunities. So make sure you're paying attention for something to say yes to, or a shift in mindset. There's often healing that needs to be done. All of my readings have homework.
Yes, I know there are some cards that you get them and it's like, it's not negative, but it is like, oof, it is work.
Yeah.
And people are afraid to do the work. I think that's part of the problem.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that I always say there are no bad tarot cards. They're just bad tarot card readers.
True.
And so some of the cards are definitely sexier or more, fizzy and fun than others. But I was going to say there are no cards that leave you with nothing, but honestly, there are a couple that are a bit of a snooze.
Yeah.
Like the Emperor can be a bit of a snooze, or the Hierophant for me, but they give context. They give a little
also,
seasoning.
maybe they don't really need to change much at that time or something, right? Like it's
just kind of, it's okay. Well, this is giving you, and it can often be, you get a big message and then one of the snooze cards comes up, and that helps give you context because, this card generally represents a building, an organization where you work. And you're like, oh, okay. So that makes sense with that. It's really validating. I need to take that action in the workspace.
And I remember one of the cards you pulled for me was, I feel like it was whatever the baby making card is.
Empress.
And I'm like, no, that's not happening. And then I think you had, in your reading, allowed a couple of questions at the end. And one of my questions was, well, why did I never have a baby? And this really stuck with me. And this kind of speaks to how you kind of frame up the messaging, where you said to me, not everyone is meant to birth a child. Like perhaps if I had my own family, I wouldn't be doing things like this. I had the mother energy towards my clients and families and things like that.
And your business and your
my
animals.
business and so if I had like you used Oprah as an example, so I was like, never forgot that. But it's true, because if I had had my own family, I probably wouldn't have had the capacity to open up my arms with so much love for everyone else. So that was just an example of, I pulled that card and I'm thinking, okay, who's this lady who's telling me I'm having a fertility card when I was 40 years old? But really you reframed it in a way that kind of made sense to me.
Well, that's it. Yeah. And it's meant to, when we do a reading, you draw me a map. Whether it's me staring at you on a Zoom while I shuffle, getting your mojo in there, or you actually touching the cards and pulling cards, but we draw a map. And then you draw the map, really, and I just help you read it. I'm the interpreter. I always say these readings with me, they're like a conversation with your soul. And I'm the interpreter. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm sort of showing you what's up, and you do it.
And do you find people are skeptical? Like obviously if someone's paying for a reading with you, they're coming because they want to be part of it. But do you find, like when you do parties and things like that, is there anyone who's kind of like men in particular?
Oh my God, I love reading dudes.
Really?
Because here's what happens, and this happened recently. I was flown down to Sun Valley, Idaho for this big wedding, and it was the welcome party the night before the wedding. And so Sun Valley, Idaho is this beautiful space. It's also pretty conservative. It's, pretty, yeah, we'll just say conservative. And there were a lot of like cowboys and, vibes. And a lot of dudes sitting down, sort of dragged by their partners, being like, come on, get the reading. And they're like, all right. And there's nothing I love more than a guy just sitting there going, okay, fortune teller, what are we going to do? And then it's like, oh, baby, let's do it.
And so you just choose a card for them? Or
no, I'll look at them.
Yeah.
Because I don't generally, you get to because you're like friends and family, but I generally don't let people like shuffle the deck anymore because it is a 35-year-old deck. And so it's like a grandpa and it needs to be treated gentle. But I'll like stare at them awkwardly, and then they cut the deck, and then I say, okay, just say, what do I need to know right now? And pull a card. And so that's what they're doing. And they're like, all right. And what's really cool is by the end, almost every single time, they're just like, tell me more. And I have to be like, guy, you got to go. I have there's a lineup now. Yeah. You need to move it along.
Let's book a reading.
So as long as they're not completely closed off to it, like just like, then the cards,
because there's some
let them do
people,
their
just
thing.
like in life, you can tell someone something and they don't want to hear it. So what's the point, right?
Well, if they're just not even open to the idea,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
But if they're willing to give it a chance,
I love that.
They never leave. There's always like, whoa. And I mean, in particular at this wedding, it was so funny because this one guy, full on cowboy hat, like a Stetson, the buckle, the whole thing.
John Dutton
the
from
boots,
Yellowstone.
Right? Yeah. And by the end of the night, he kept bringing people over. He's like, oh, sit. No, really, it's good. And I was like, thank you. Are you my publicist?
So validating. Yeah.
So
it was amazing.
Yeah.
So did people bring you in as kind of like an entertainment factor type thing?
This was the coolest wedding. They had a crystal, kind of like we did at Soul Spa. They had a crystal buffet, but it was like a whole big table with big crystals.
Oh, cool.
And they had an astrologer. They had all of these. It was very experiential.
Interesting.
fun,
Yeah.
like pop-up sort of situation.
In 15 years of doing weddings, I've never had tarot card reader at...
I do a ton of weddings. And
Really,
baby
eh?
showers.
Oh,
People are
showers. Okay.
Well, in LA.
Okay.
I've done a couple of baby showers here, but in LA, I was getting booked consistently
Awesome.
for baby showers,
Okay.
which is funny.
Nice.
Yeah, unexpected.
So you're using the cards as part of your prompt and props, but you have so you have 2 best-selling books. We've got Burn Your Shit, Life-Changing Magic of Rituals, and Big Deck Energy, which I have not yet read. And so in Big Deck Energy, people can flip through it and choose a card themselves?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I show you?
Yeah, please. Yes. Yeah.
So we take the book.
Okay.
Big Deck Energy, Life-Changing Magic of Tarot.
I like your spin on words there, by the way.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, perfect.
And you did it too. It's so funny. Anytime I'm with anyone from media, they're like, Lori Deanne with Big Deck.
Oh, yes.
Energy. They're being
here's the
so
kitty.
clear with
all the witches need a cat.
yeah, with their enunciation.
Yes.
So Jan Arden came up with this when I was on her podcast. She had an advanced copy of the book. She very generously gave me a blurb, and she's like, "Oh, let's do a little. I want to try something." And I thought, "Oh God, if she starts testing me on like what's the Nine of Swords, I'm screwed because I don't know." But she said, "I'm just going to do this because I've been doing it. What do I need to know right now?" Boom, and oh, okay, there's my message. And we did it live on the pod, and the
I watched
message,
it.
yeah,
It was a star card.
It really resonated even for me that day. I was like, "Oh, thank you, Jan." And so I've been telling people about this, and everyone who I've been telling, not everyone, but people who I've been telling, I've been getting a lot of feedback saying, I'm doing this every day. It's wild how it works. Or what do I need to know about taking that job? Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, transformational change. Amazing. What do I need to know about this person? Boom. Ooh, judgment. Yikes. And then it's my interpretation, as well as I always allude to the Tarot 101, but you develop a dialogue with your deck over time. So the interpretation evolves just as you do. So I allude to the Tarot 101. It's always rooted kind of in that, but then it's my specific way of doing tarot, which is what you're getting. So you don't even need a deck of cards.
So then why would people come to you then still if they've got this book? Is there...
Exactly. I mean, here, and that's the thing. My whole mission with my work is to inspire, empower, and enlighten.
Yeah.
Whether it's through ritual or tarot or anything else that I do. And I want to get these tools in the hands of as many people as possible. And, the bigger the platform, the bigger the stage, the better, because I know how profound and lasting the shifts can be when you are open to this kind of stuff. And so if someone has the book, great, do it for yourself every day, or use your deck and refer to the book and Google and whatever else you want. And then if you want to do a really deep dive and put it all together and benefit from my 35 years of experience,
yes, then you can book a reading. And that's usually an hour.
It's an hour, and it's me just blah, 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 talking the whole time. And then there's always time for questions at the end of the hour, but usually what you come for a reading for is addressed in the reading. So people at the end, I had 2 readings yesterday, and they were both like, I don't really have
any questions. You kind of answered it all.
Yeah, that's the point.
So should we open one up and try?
Yeah. Do you want to do the book and the cards? We'll do one of each.
We'll do the cards at the end, maybe.
Okay, sure.
And then, so I'm just going, do I ask myself, what do I need to know?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do I need to know today? Let me just open this up. So how do I know which?
Well, you choose. Which one did you want?
I think 8 of Cups, but I don't know what.
Then, yeah.
So at first glance, this perfectly balanced stack of shiny golden cups would impress.
There's a lot of blah blah.
Okay,
let me just give you. I'll
give
you the Cole's notes
Okay,
because I'm a bit.
Yeah.
It's
long-winded. Okay.
The 8 of Cups is leaving behind what no longer serves you.
That's just so apropos,
right?
Isn't it?
Because these golden cups look so great on paper, and everyone's like, oh my God, look at the cups. And he's turning his back on these cups like, ugh, these aren't my cups. I need different cups. And it can be difficult to leave that stuff behind because it can be easy and safe and known to just settle for this spray painted tin. And this card is saying, why? Around the corner, it's sunshine, rainbows, and kitty cats. It's amazing. He's just not there yet. He's still at that point of ooh, but the cups. So it's saying whether it's where you're living, where you're working, friendships, relationships, you eating dairy, how you deal with money, how you communicate, whatever it is, just because something's a certain thing or way or person up until this moment doesn't mean it has to be that moving forward.
And I think that the message that I got from your soul spa, which we'll talk about later, was similar. It's we're drawing a line in the sand and we're leaving that behind and we're moving forward. which is the whole point of
Right.
life and evolution.
Well,
right?
and here's the thing, Wendy, there are 78 cards. There are 78 possible messages you could get.
Yeah.
And each of these cards tells a different story, but some of them share threads and through lines.
Mm-hmm.
So when I sound repetitive or thematic in a reading, or if you at Soul Spa got a certain card and then you're getting this here, and then after this little chit chat we do, we're going to do a full reading. If you're getting similar themes, it's like the cards are
Tarot
going,
knows.
are you
Hello.
listening?
Yeah.
Do you get it? Like, you're paying attention?
I love that.
Right?
Amazing.
Yeah, that's how I'm always like hashtag tarot knows.
Hashtag tarot. And that was one of my points here, because I think you had written down, I had read it or seen it on one of your podcasts, that tarot doesn't do small talk. And neither do I. I hate small talk. I actually say the tagline to this podcast is, we don't talk about weight, the weather, or other women. Unless they deserve it.
Unless they're witches.
Unless,
and
of course,
we love them.
So tarot doesn't do small talk. It cuts through the BS. And I think this is really important, because I think it's a really dark time out there. And it feels like it has been, I don't know, personally for me, but other people that I talk to. And part of the reason why I'm doing this podcast is to kind of speak more of the truth and connect people, so they're not feeling so kind of, I'm crazy, I'm alone type thing. I'm the only one feeling this way. So what you do is a daily card of the day on Instagram, which I love. And I know so many people love that. And I actually look for it sometimes, because it's not always the same time of every day.
Yeah,
and
depends on how I'm doing.
Or maybe you're flying or whatever. So, and I'm always going on there, and it always tracks, right?
wild?
And you're like, tarot knows.
Well, and here's the thing too, is that I'll get people, half the time, I always say this, but it really is true, is that half the time I post this stuff thinking, why am I putting this up? This is my message. Like, it's obviously meant for me. It's so
interesting,
right?
Yeah.
And then I get DMs all day. Oh my God, how did you know this is my message? But what's really cool is I will get DMs every day from people about a message from like a year ago, 6 months ago, 2 weeks ago. And they're like, oh my gosh, this so tracks for me today. So it doesn't matter. We got Goosey's just saying it.
I love the
It doesn't
goosies.
matter.
Can you explain what the goosies are? Because it happened several times.
I'll do that in a sec. But it doesn't really matter if the day you find the message aligns with the day I pulled the card.
Right.
When you find the message is when the message is meant to find you.
Okay.
You know, that's when you need to hear it. And so for me, Goosey's is validation. It's kind of, I mean, it does show up as like goosebumps on my skin, but it's it's not regular goosebumps, because it's like under the surface and on the surface in this weird crackle, like
when the hair
Pop
of your
Rocks.
Back of your neck stands up.
Yeah,
kind of
but
thing?
like under the skin and on top of it, like it's a different sensation than that, but it's kind of similar. That's why I'm always like, oh my God, Goosey's.
Yeah.
It's just,
And
it's
would you say
validation.
Goosey's is kind of, okay, it must be true, because you're getting
Oh, for me, it's like ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, this is
validation to the max.
awesome. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Well,
here.
and if I can just expand to you on something you said, you brought up a great point about how it helps people feel like you feel kind of less alone when you get these messages. And I think that kind of, to tie in the rituals too, the burn your shit thing that I do, this full moon fire ritual on Instagram Live, 8 p.m. Eastern, every full moon. I get people to send in stuff that I burn on their behalf, and I do these reframes because often there's repeating messages, so I kind of make them into one, but also someone will say something, they'll be like, is it that, or is it more this? And that's sort of a channeling thing.
Which I love, because like, as a simple example, someone could just say, I want to release my fear of, or I want to release my ex-boyfriend, or I want to release, and you reframe it going, I want to release the bullshit belief or the limiting belief that I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And so, or that like his opinion of me matters because I am a queen. And and then you say, and so it is, right?
Right.
As you have
And I got
tattooed
it.
here. And so it is.
Yeah.
And it also, because I tune into all of your lives, and it's so interesting because anything that I'm thinking about writing down, if I don't participate and just listen, someone else has written it from across the world. So there's all these similarities and threads that bind us together.
It's really, that's been one of the beautiful gifts of COVID, because I was doing these full moon rituals and new moon rituals in person all over the place for years and years and years. leading and participating. And with COVID, I started with like me and 10 people on Instagram Live, and like 5 of them were my friends.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's run some shit, right? And then what happened after that was more people would hear about it, and now like hundreds, sometimes thousands of people will show up, and it's in the you can watch the replay, and it because of time zones. But people are joining from Norway, Australia, Panama, Kenya, all over the world, and it's just so beautiful to see how we are so much more alike than we are different.
Yes, 100%.
And if someone from Norway sends something to Burn and I'm reading it like, ooh, this tracks, and then I'm reading it aloud and you're watching going, oh my God, it's like I wrote it. It's as much our release as it is Norway's release.
It is so true, actually. And we're going to talk about Liz Gilbert as well, because I love her as well. But one of her books was called, it was after Eat, Pray, Love. It was called Committed. And it was all about relationships. She went around the world kind of exploring different relationships. And I think it was the first, where she was in Cambodia and speaking with victims of like war crimes and things like that. And the thing that they all wanted to ask about was like, will a boy, it all had to do with relationships. And she's like, oh my gosh, like the same thing in America and Cambodia, right? The same issues and things like that. So,
and which then ties back into tarot, because these tarot images are rooted in archetypes, and archetypes are the language of the collective unconscious. And so these messages that are brought forward through tarot, even when I put a very modern, positive, or like my interpretation on them, spin on it, that's why they resonate with each of us in a very personal way, even though it's a very broad message.
Can you explain, what do you mean by archetype?
An archetype is like the mother archetype.
Okay, so like an institution or like
it's kind of like if you imagine, let's say the sage is an archetype. That's the wise counselor. So we all have these people we go to for counsel, where you're just like, you really appreciate the wisdom that they share. Like Erica was a sage for me, the witch, and I can be a sage for others. You are as well. Like we've had them and we can be them. And so that message of like getting wise counsel from someone who has like the experience or the learning to offer it, it's an archetype. It's like a fixed kind of character that you just see repeated throughout history, throughout culture. Like Harry Potter is full of archetypes, like the hero's journey is an archetype.
Okay, gotcha.
And so I'm getting all sweaty now. My tarot sweats, I get all excited about this. It's
warm in here, and Jamie says it's too freezing in here, so I had to turn the air down a bit.
No, I call it the tarot sweats. I call it the tarot sweats. It's a thing.
Okay.
But these archetypes are present in the cards. And so that's why I always say tarot's like randomly specific and specifically random. Because I'll be talking about something like a burden being lifted, but you also have to get out of your own way by not like talking crap about yourself with the judgment card. Gotcha. So those are two cards that could come up that are like, okay, stop shit talking yourself because you're getting in the way of these burdens being lifted. Like you're not doing yourself any favors. And that's a very broad message. But if you're like, oh, I was just doing that today and that thing at work and wow, and it just makes you.
And I do read the comments on these Instagram card of the day, and everybody's like, oh, this completely tracks, this completely makes sense. And the thing is, I think it gives you, I don't know, just in the state of the world, it's dark and heavy. And I feel like even if it's just, and I don't mean just, but a simple card of the day that you can go to in the morning as a ritual, it gives you some kind of tools or like hope, I guess.
Yeah, and just like a different perspective to look at things. And I believe, the world is a dark, heavy place, and there's been just so much loss and grief in the lives of so many people, and there's a lot of fear out there. And I'm not saying this stuff is going to make it bippity boppity boo and it's gone. That's not about it at all. It's about just helping you navigate your journey. And it's not telling you what to do, because you don't want to abdicate responsibility of your life to some rando with cards, right? Or some book. But you want to empower yourself to be able to make the best decisions for yourself moving forward. And you want to like love yourself, because you can't love anyone else without loving yourself. Like we all just need to heal.
That is that message that you hear over and over and over again too, right? Like you have to love yourself. You went on that journey of the self-love. We started it with your boudoir session and carried on, and here you are, right? Just shining. And
so I'm not out there, I think there are people who are amazing activists. And I have my thoughts and I have my beliefs and I have my way of acting and things that I support and don't support. And also, at the end of the day, we're all human, and I want us to be happy. Like, we need happy warriors.
Yes.
You know?
So you're giving people the tools to go out there and...
Not even the tools. It's more just I'm holding light and holding space for them to be their best selves. I got
which the whole world
so
needs.
then they can go
as
out and
a
do
collective.
Their thing. Yeah.
Right? Okay.
And I think if a lot of people who are out there doing damage would just be able to I mean, it sounds so like...
Heal their inner child.
Honestly, but we all need to like heal our inner child. And
It's
then
so
they
true.
can, and there wouldn't be so much garbage going on.
I remember at the retreat, there was one lady, obviously had never done inner child work. I think it was not part of her generation. And she was like, put up her hand and asked, is there more than one, what was it? Not inner child, but you called it, there's a portion of the retreat where
Oh, the core wound.
Core wound. Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, can you have more than one core wound? And I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, wow.
Let
you
me
got
tell you all
an
about them.
entire journey to go through.
Right. Which is gorgeous to see someone in like their
60s,
7th
70s,
decade,
yes.
right? And they're just like, wait,
Maybe
what?
I am the way I am because
Which
they've
is
never been given
gorgeous.
space to even speak or think about why, they are the way they are. So,
And my friend Lori, who
yes,
you know,
I loved her.
she
so
loves
much.
you.
Yeah.
So my best friend from like grade 9, lives in Calgary. She runs this women's healing center called Malia.
Yeah.
And I brought her out to help with the retreat. And it was so interesting because, Goosey's
Yeah.
again. She said not even years ago, like a couple of months ago, we were talking and she said, I think I figured it out that like the first half of your life is meant getting completely screwed up by your parents, romantic partners, the patriarchy, whatever, right? The world screws you up for the first half of your life. And then the last half of your life is meant healing
undo it all.
and undoing it all. And like, that's the gig. That's the whole point. And then I just went,
oh, that's heavy.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. She was so amazing too. And I think it was your friend Lori, who pushed you to kind of do this retreat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, like that's a beautiful thing about sort of manifesting, because everyone thinks it's like sitting in front of a vision board, like, oh, when am I getting married? Which is just not it.
No.
But it's about having a clear intention. My intention was to, get my work out there in the hands of as many people as possible. And I love doing retreats. I've led retreats at Canyon Ranch and I'm doing it again this October. And being brought into all these retreats. And I was thinking, okay, now I have to get a whole list and I have to figure out like, okay, I've got to pitch myself and try and like sell myself.
Yeah.
And
which I think you're getting better at.
Yeah. Well, and I'm totally fine to do it.
Yes.
It's just the effort. Because it's like, I only got so many hours in the day.
Right.
Like I'm a one-man shop.
Yes.
Except for,
Now you have Prue.
Yeah, I've Prue.
Yeah.
Prue's amazing. But Lori just brought it to me. So I had this intention and I was doing the action in terms of like, researching different retreats around the world that I could pitch myself to. And then Lori just came to me one day and said, I was at this women's wealth retreat thing. And the whole time I was just thinking, why isn't Lori doing this?
Right.
Like, why aren't you the retreat? And I said, what do you mean? Like bring in a bunch of people? She goes, no, just do it. She said, every chapter of your book is a different module of a retreat. And she goes, just talk about your stuff. And I was like, ugh. And that was on, she went to the retreat Friday, called me Saturday. By Monday, we were researching all of it. And it was like, okay, we're doing it.
And it happened on this
Summer solstice.
Summer solstice. Yes. It was amazing. I left that retreat. We'll talk about it a little bit because I just, I don't know what I expected. I was going in to kind of help and document and photograph, but I was also part of it. And I kind of tucked myself away in the corner because I don't like sort of standing up and participating in a like
group
public
share.
Thinking, and then I start my own podcast. So the irony of that, and it was so interesting because you made a beeline for me. People were asking questions, and there were some of it was a bit surface, and I thought you made a beeline for me, and I thought no, because you weren't pressuring anyone to share, and you handed me or you said to me if you feel comfortable sharing. I said, well, there's no time like right now to share. So I did. And mine was pretty personal. And I did start to kind of cry.
Yeah.
And
you weren't the only one.
Right. And I think it kind of opened up because then another lady said, I wasn't given permission to speak as a child. And she, things like that were very, very vulnerable. And there were a lot of women who came on their own, which is not always a comfortable thing. But it wasn't, we got to sit around and play games and share. Like, nobody wants that crap.
It wasn't kumbaya.
It wasn't kumbaya
BS.
and all that kind of stuff. And so we did, what were some of the things that we did? We did
a release ritual with these hurricane vases full of water and these glass stir sticks, like gorgeous cauldrons, and then wrote what we were ready to release because we couldn't light stuff on fire on water-soluble paper. And then to see those pieces of paper just dissolve in the water was really powerful. We did manifesting, the core wound stuff. We did intuition hacks, like how to turn yourself sort of into a human pendulum. But it's that shared experience. Yes. It's what I experienced online with the women's circles during COVID, bringing that to a physical space. And just knowing it, you and this other woman who's I know sort of on a friendly way, wasn't someone I'd never met before. And then someone else who I'd never met, where I was just kind of like, what's your thing you want to share? Because I just kind of knew that it needed to be, that you needed to say it out loud. Like there's power in that. And also for people to receive your vulnerability to then feel safe to do it. And I do it myself. Like I don't start any of these things or lead any of these things without first being the first one to share. And I'm not shy to do that because vulnerability begets vulnerability.
Right. Yes.
And that's where courage and power lies. And shame cannot live in the darkness. So the things that we're feeling the most icky about, when we speak them aloud, there's power in that. It takes the power away from the thing and puts it back to you.
And you had mentioned, there is power in women speaking out loud, circling, I think you call it. So like as a sisterhood. And there was a lot of profound moments, I think, that happened that day. One of them was before everyone had got there, you remember it was kind of foggy and cloudy and we were standing there and you were just kind of having a moment, kind of like, I've done this. There were 75 women coming to your retreat. And I said, oh, look, the sun's coming out. And you go, I'm going to cry. And all of a sudden the speaker, they start playing Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles. And I'm like, oh, wow. And it was just so magical.
Yeah.
You played a song that was really kind of pivotal to your, I guess, transformation and
journey,
things like your journey. It was called
I Am Woman.
I Am Woman. We all kind of danced and moved. And I left there feeling 1,000 pounds lighter.
Yeah, and didn't you feel like you could lift a car off a baby?
I sure did.
Right?
I sure did. And I was like, I need to go to and I hopefully that was the feedback that you got.
Listen, we sent out surveys to everybody after saying, what could we do differently? What do you want more of, less of, whatever? And people were like, no notes, just buy more crystals next time.
Or have more books because you sold out.
We sold out of books and we pretty much sold out of crystals. So
I do want to tell that one story about how, because I think people are really curious as to what kind of cool things happen. Just like how you said you came up to me, because then I was going to ask you, does that mean that you're a psychic? Because you weren't using cards, you just intuitively knew.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so
it's kind of like when I do my channeling for the burn your shit slips.
Yeah,
that's not me, meditating for an hour, holding a crystal in each hand. Like it's just
it comes.
But
that's through you.
10,000 hours too, right? So it's just I've started
put the work in, and you really.
I just trust that knowing.
Okay.
But the wildest stuff. Even my friend Lori, who is obviously into this stuff and who is very intuitive herself, was like, "Is this your life? Does this kind of crap happen every day?"
I know. You must have such interesting dinner stories.
Just the way that things turned out for us, or the way things presented themselves for us. She's like, "How did this just turn up?" I'm like, "I have no idea."
So I wanted you to share the story of the apartment that you got, if you're comfortable with that, because I think that was also an interesting manifestation, but also kind of a
with the lady on the Facebook.
Yes,
that part?
Yeah.
Okay, so I ended a marriage just over a year ago that was 24 years, and I'd been like trying to disentangle for a few years before that. It started, conscious uncoupling, and then got a bit like sleeping with the enemy.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking,
different podcast.
That's it. Yeah. And that's members only.
Yes. Yeah.
And what transpired was, I needed to leave the marital home because that was the only way. And I'm thinking to myself, who's going to rent an apartment, or let alone a house, to a friggin' tarot card reader. Are you
that's
kidding me?
you have to put
I
it
have no T4s. I have no letters of reference from an employer. I have like a bank account statement and a deck. Like, and so that really held me back. And you know who it was? It was Britt's husband, Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Who he's a really wise, he's a sage in my life, you know, and we would have these great talks, and he challenged me. He said, you know, this is a belief you're putting out there, that who's going to do it? He goes, why not just say, wow, I'm really curious to know, you know, and I'm challenging you, instead of waiting until next June, because then it's like 4 years that you've been trying. How about this month, January? And I was like, huh? Like, no. And then I did end up leaving in March, and so then I wrapped my head around like, okay, I'm just going to try. I'm going to try. So I'm going on like the realtor sites, and it's all, and in the area I live in, because I don't want to be too far from like the schools and stuff, because I still had a daughter in high school at the time. You know, it's
expensive.
like $3,500 a month for a shit box.
Oh, yes.
Like the fridge was this width of an ironing board. I said, I don't even know this was a fridge. Like this, they make them this size. It was like Tokyo or something.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And so I was like, I don't know about this. And I was at one of these fridge Tokyo places. And then I looked on Facebook. And on Facebook Marketplace, I was also checking. And there's this beautiful looking place, gorgeous pictures at a really nice price. Like hundreds and hundreds less than the shit box. And I just sent a little like, oh, hey, I'd love to see this if blah, 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 blah. And then I go see the crappy one, and then I was just like demoralized. And I got back in my car, and there's a message on the Facebook, and this lady's like, oh yeah, sure, come on by. Here's the address. I went, great. And I went right there, loved it. You open the door, and it's windows. It's not the brightest thing, but where the windows are, it's the forest behind me, like a full-on forest. And I was like, I
see it in your life. Like,
I'll take it. Like, this is amazing. And because she owns all of these properties, she's around my age. And so I was like, listen, here's the thing. I'm a tarot card reader. So it wasn't me having to deal with realtors or property management companies. It was me and a lady, and me saying, I'm getting divorced after all this time. I don't have this. I don't have that. I can show you bank statements. I can show you, like, I can pay the rent. I have the
You're like
the
the
means,
ideal tenant,
right?
I think.
And I'm not loud. I travel a lot, so I'm not going to be here. I'm not having parties. I don't have pets. My kids will be here sort of part-time. And so she at first was like, I don't know, really? And then I said, look, I've got a best-selling book. I've got another one coming out. I've been on the media. Like, I'm legit.
Yes.
And she had a friend with her, this guy, because she's single and she didn't want to just be showing up, so he's her muscle just in case. Yeah. And he was into it. He's like, oh yeah, tarot, cool. And she was like, huh, really? And so that sort of softened her. And I ended up getting this spot. And what's wild is that after I left that initial meeting where I charmed her socks off and we connected, and it was like, okay, this is like a done deal, right? She goes, the only other person who's come to see it is like a family of 6 who will not fit in this 2-bedroom apartment. Right. So yeah, I just don't want to deal with all the crap. So it's yours if you can provide me bank statements, whatever. And then as soon as I left, she said, oh my God, I just realized there was a glitch on Facebook, because normally I have so many more respondents and people interested, but it was just you and this family of 6. And then as soon as you left, I had like hundreds of DMs of people desperate to see this place.
I love stories like that. So it's
like universe just held off the masses so I could get in there and like shoot my shot.
You're still there. Yeah,
right?
Shoot your shot. Love that.
And I'm still there, and she's wonderful. Nice. And she's just like a big fan. She doesn't have a tarot reading, but she's a big fan. And yeah, like that kind of stuff happens to me all the time.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I think it's people can't deny that. You know, even skeptics are kind of like, okay, like stuff like that will happen with me as well. And Dave goes, are you a witch? Are you witchy?
Yeah, you are.
Or I'll say things and it will happen. Or like, this is the other thing that happens to me. Like, I don't know if it's energy or what, but things like don't work around me, like electronics or strange things. Or I'll sit there and like picture, like I'm like, someone's gonna fall, and they'll fall right in front of me, and I'm like, am I making that happen? This has always been my question. Am I making that happen with my thoughts, or is this intuition, or like?
I think it's a combination. I think it's your energy just sort of tapping into other energy, because everything's energy. Yes. This is all energy.
Okay.
So it's just how we sort of interact with it. And like another just crazy example that I just thought of, I don't know why I feel compelled. So I was deciding I want to do more retreats, right? And this was like 2 years ago. It was just a year ago. It was like last August. And I was thinking, God, I'd love to do, I'm thinking retreats. That would be kind of cool to go and do these things. And hours later, I get an email from a lady who scouts guest experts for Canyon Ranch Spa in California. And she's like, hey, she doesn't even remember how she found me, but would love to chat to you about doing a retreat at Canyon Ranch. And I was like, what? And so I immediately, it was Sunday night at like 10 o'clock. And I was like, oh my God, this would be amazing. I could talk tomorrow at 8 a.m. or the next day or the next day, the next day. I was like golden retriever energy. And then crickets. I hear nothing. I was like, oh my God, I was too
much.
Needy.
I was too,
yeah. And so I reached out to my friend, Vanessa, who's an agent in New York. So she was formerly. And so she knows about this kind of stuff. And I said, I think I was too eager and too desperate. She goes, you probably were. Like, send me the email. Let me see. And I go to send her the email. It hadn't sent.
Oh, see?
It was stuck in drafts.
Sitting in the drafts.
And so now, instead of being a desperate loser, I was like sexy indifference.
Yes.
Like, it's Thursday. I'm like, yeah, I guess we could talk.
Isn't that so
like, let me
interesting?
see. So it helped me to just
and I think
cool
that
my
energy that
jets.
you put that out there too, if you are needy in with anything, relationships, jobs, whatever, it's like, it's kind of sending off those ick vibes.
Well, and the thing too is that there was probably some neediness there, but it was mostly extreme enthusiasm. Because I was just like, oh my God, I was just thinking about this and now it's happening and how is this possible? Blah, 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 blah. And then it was just, the universe was like, okay.
Chill.
Like, calm down.
Just take a second.
Just take a beat, lady. Yeah, so now I know. I learned from that. Okay, sexy indifference. I'm going to wait
I love that.
a little bit. And now I'm going back this October.
Someone had asked me to ask you a question.
Okay.
So it was addressing intuition versus, I guess when people think to themselves, is this anxiety? Like, I think we're trained to second guess so is this anxiety or is this intuition? And I referred to your chapter, which was called about internal GPS. And because I think as women, we're kind of trained to be polite and don't be, rude and things like that. And so what is your take on intuition? Is it something, we all know that we have it, but is it something, could it ever be something else? Like, is it anxiety? Or
I think people often confuse intuition with like desperation.
Yes.
There's intuition is quiet. It's soft, it's a whisper, it's a gentle knowing, right? Whereas fear or anxiety or desperation is loud and judgmental and ego-based and like time sensitive and like, come on, do it. Like when it's that's usually not it.
Okay.
And the easiest way to tap into your intuition is to just sit and breathe and just ground yourself in some breath and just calm the F down and just like, okay, and if you're like choosing between two directions, you can visualize doing this and then visualize doing that and just make it really visceral. And what am I wearing? And the dog is barking. When you're on each path, you just tap into your body. How does this one feel? How does that one feel? Because your body will give you those clues. You might feel a tightness or a heaviness or butterflies. You want to poop your pants. Like one's going to feel better or less gross than the other.
Okay.
So that's a really easy way to know it. But if it's something where it's like, oh no,
Danger.
I have to do this. Unless sometimes it is that scream.
Like the fight or flight.
When, I was once walking down a dark street in Toronto and I was thinking, I got like the hairs on the back of the neck, and that's like sort of a different kind of intuition.
It's like animal,
that's more
like
primal.
Primal.
Yeah.
Survival.
And I immediately grabbed my phone and pretended to start talking really loud, like, "Oh yeah, are you there? Oh, do you have the dog with you? Okay, I'll be right there."
That's a loud knowing.
And then all of these, like a pack of dudes, kind of came out of the darkness and then just kind of walked by me, and I was like, oh yeah, I think I see you. Oh wow, is she hungry? Well, we'll have to get new dog food, the extra large, but because she's so big.
Yeah, you thought on your feet.
And that was an immediate thing. But when it's something, is this guy good for me or not? Yeah.
It's more of a quiet. Okay, interesting. And so back to that energy. So there was something that's very interesting to me. So I wanted to include this. So it was, you talk about when people drain you. So when you have this like heaviness around you.
Yeah.
Emotional energy vampires, they suck the life out of you.
Yeah.
And you had written here, emotional energy is highly transferable. Feelings are contagious. They leave a distinct aftertaste that lingers. Consistent energetic hygiene needs to be prioritized to remove toxic attachments and clear any emotional residue that might impact your physical, mental, and spiritual health. And you were talking about drainers and dumpers. And I'm just going to read a small little section here because I loved this, because I feel that this is very true for anyone. So these drainers and dumpers usually aren't aware it's happening. It's rarely intentional or malicious on their part. Kids can be the worst. Regardless of where it's coming from, this energy manipulation needs to be addressed. First, you have to recognize the energetic imbalances so you can rectify them. If you don't deal with these imbalances, they'll start dealing with you, leaving you so depleted or overwhelmed that it will manifest physically, making you sick. As long as these etheric cords are intact, etheric,
yep.
Your energy is being manipulated to your detriment. You must restore balance by establishing some energetic boundaries, and I have just the ritual for that. So I wanted to ask you to, I guess, explain what that ritual is when you find yourself completely drained. Because I find myself like that when I'm shooting weddings or when I'm just
100%. Oh my God.
It's draining.
Just being around all the people.
Yes.
And it's not, again, it's not malicious, conscious, or intentional usually on the part of anyone. So if you can sit and visualize, if you know who the person is, you imagine the beautiful like sunbeam of light coming from your heart, connecting you to the heart of that person you know is dumping or draining your energy. Imagine this beautiful sunbeam of light, and then you take a machete and cut it, or you have gardening shears or a chainsaw and
you just break
it.
it.
And it's not hurting anyone. It's saying, there's your energy, here's my energy, you're welcome. You're returning homeostasis, you know? If you're at a wedding or something, or whenever I do events,
get away.
You don't know faces, you don't know names or anything. So in that case, it's almost like the Matrix with the big like thing in the middle of the chest. I imagine like a bunch of golden skipping ropes just kind of floating out to the ether, not even attaching to specific people, but it's just all the energy cords going to all the different people, and I just gather them all up and then take that sword and just dunk, and then they retract like vacuum cleaner cords. And then it's like, or you can do a dry brush. You can stand and just like brush yourself.
We did that day, right?
Yeah.
Retreat. Because you must feel that way. If you're doing readings with, like, you must feel drained. Especially if you're doing multiple people. Do you feel kind of like, okay, I'm tapped out?
It's almost the reverse. I get super hyper and jazzed.
Oh,
and
yeah,
need
because
like
you're extrovert.
85 melatonin.
Yeah, you're like, let's keep going. Let's go party now.
But if I go really hardcore, or it's a big day of media, like with media stuff back to back around the book tour, afterwards I'm just like, and I need to just
Yeah, because you've had a lot going on with the book tours, and how's that all going? Like
amazing.
How many more tours do you have?
I've done Southern Ontario, and I'm going out to Calgary and Vancouver. With Indigo. It's really fun.
Oh, that's so cool. Like, you're famous. Thanks for coming to my podcast with like 3 people.
Listen,
100.
Burn Your Shit started with 10. And I'm not even joking. At least 5 of them were known to me. So,
oh my gosh, I love that.
Are we going to pull a card though?
Yes, I just wanted, I had one more story that I wanted you to share, because I thought this was super cool. And I think will resonate with a lot of people who try and force things to happen a certain way. And I wanted you to tell the story about when you were in Bali and you wanted to go to the gates of heaven, the Pura Lempayang, which was like beautiful.
Right. So this famous temple up near Ahmed in northern Bali, and I was there by myself, and I basically got there late at night. I had the next full day, and then was leaving at noon the following day. So I had a day and a half. Really wanted to go to this temple. Did not realize where I was staying was quite outside of Ahmed. So there's no Uber. There's no, like, it was very hard to arrange rides, like, in the moment. So I was panicking a bit my first day there, thinking, like, I'm going to miss the temple. And then I was like, okay, Laurie, you're in Bali. Take it down a notch and just go sit by the water. Like, you're fine.
It is
like,
hard to get
You're
to.
doing okay.
It took us 2.5 hours to get there. So it is hard to find.
It is, So I just went for a little walk. On one side of me was this little snorkeling tour place, like, right on the beach, very... like low tech kind of operation. And I just was talking to the guy who was running it, and all of the boats had gone out for the day on the snorkeling tours. But he's like, hey, I can have you go out with my father-in-law, who is a fisherman. So he had to take like 7,000 pounds of fish out of his boat. It was like a little outrigger canoe, like this wide. My butt was falling off either side, little outriggers on either side. He ended up taking, didn't speak English. And he would take me to these places. No one else was going. And I ended up going to an underwater temple. Japanese shipwreck. I swam with a sea turtle the size of a Mini Cooper.
Oh my God.
Like me and these two other tourists who were also sort of off-roading with their guide. And we just got to swim. This turtle was just like playing in the water, going in the sand, coming out. It was magical. I was like, what is happening? And that cost, $30.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I came back and thought, okay, that was pretty great. And then I went and showered and I thought, I'm starving and where am I going to eat? There's nothing here. And I was like, no. I saw a place like I could see up the coast, so I'll walk there. It took a lot longer than I thought, but I found this magical little resort where they have like, here's an inflammation tea, here's a digestion tea. I mean, it was like a little Whole Foods magical place. The food was unbelievable. And then as I'm leaving, and you're right at the sea, and I thought, well, this is magical. And then as I'm leaving, I'm paying, and behind the lady is a big framed picture of a newspaper article with a handwritten note, and it says, "Dear whatever the place, this is still my favorite place to stay in Bali, and your food is amazing. Love always, Liz Gilbert." And I was like, what? And Liz Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, wrote the love part staying at this place,
Right.
which I never would have found.
You would never have found it if you had have gone down the path that you were forcing to happen.
And then the next day, I found a driver on a Reddit forum that night. I was like, let's see. And reached out to him on WhatsApp because that's kind of how it's done in Bali. And ended up meeting this delightful man who drove me to the temple the next day. The weather was better than it would have been the day before. I did this whole other thing where I skipped the line where everyone's like
line
number
now.
29.
Instagram with the
4-hour waits to get a picture between these two things. Instead, I go wandering down below because I was like, I'm not into that. Found these two people sitting there who work there who were like, hey, want us to take your picture? And I was like, okay. And instead of like, usually you're between the two little things and there's the volcano behind, but I was down here. So I did pictures with the thing behind me and the volcano and just two sets of pictures. It turned into a photo shoot. They're like over the shoulder, arms up. And I was like, okay. And they took these amazing pictures. Took me 5 minutes. I gave them a healthy tip. They were thrilled. We sat and had a chit chat. And then instead of waiting 3 more hours eating like a fudgesicle for my 30-second turn, while everyone's
could
watching
enjoy it,
I could go and wander the rest of the grounds and treat this temple as it was meant to be treated, which was like a pilgrimage. You're meant to go hiking up and
that was the one thing that bothered me. I mean, now when we went to that place, it was similar. We had a driver and we went up into the mountains and we had missed a spot and it was raining, and then we had got to the top. You had to check in and where like the sarong and then you get to the top and the sun had just started to set, so you saw the mountain. There was not a single person there except this monk who said to me, "Can I take your photo?" And I had my big like Nikon camera and I was like showing him, and he goes, no. Like he knew how to use it, and I took this beautiful photo of him. It was
stunning.
It is like you literally feel like you're in heaven. I've never seen anything like that or felt anything like that. But then I see on Instagram that it's like, oh, it's ruined now because there's like really 4 hours of people. But the lesson in that is that you didn't go mainstream. You just went off on your own.
I followed the warmth. Right. I call it following the warmth. Like, oh, this feels interesting. Let me go down there. Versus that clenchy, like, oh, because that's like intuition versus desperation again.
Interesting.
That's actually a great example of it in action. And I've been trying to keep that since coming home, and it's paying off pretty great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I think that covered all my questions. Do you have any questions?
Can I give you a card pull?
Yes, let's do the card pull. Okay.
It would be weird if we did this.
Yes.
And didn't do
it. Yeah, and then you knock on the deck.
Yeah, that just disperses it's like an energetic palate cleanser of the last reading.
All right.
So I'm just going to stare at you kind of awkwardly. Get your mojo in here. And now you're just going to say out loud, what do I need to know right now?
What do I need to know right now?
Yep, and pull one card and don't look at it. Let me see it first. Interesting. Tarot's coming through with like podcast marketing support because you got the High Priestess.
Oh, okay.
And the High Priestess is your inner witch. She is the dreams, the hunches, the gut, the intuition. This card telling you need to start listening to the little voice more that we always ignore and then look back and go, why didn't I listen to the voice? This card wants you to get proactive instead of reactive with the voice. So if you feel compelled to do this instead of that, pay attention to it. Or if you feel a way about a person, give that space. You don't have to act on it, but just acknowledge it. And the more you start to recognize and listen to, but most importantly, trust the little voice, the more often it will show up and the more of an impact it will have.
Well, I mean,
ties in so
doesn't
well.
that just tie in so well?
Come
That's
on.
just amazing. And we're
Yeah.
gonna, I think, wrap that up today. Thank you so much. I
pleasure.
feel like people are really excited about this one. Like people are really interested in tarot and in all this, what would we call it? Like metaphysics. Even more so now than ever, because I think people need something to believe in. People need a community. People need to.
They're going back to basics.
Yes, back to the
we're
basics.
Not trusting our institutions.
Right.
Everything's a gong show.
Yeah.
It's getting
like
more
that
old school.
I saw something, and I'll just wrap this up. But it was something like, "I'm sorry, I didn't see that newsworthy article, but I was busy like raising a village and keeping things in your own kind of simple, old-fashioned."
Like
community or village type thing.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thanks,
and that's
Wendy.
how it is on the Truth Lens.